So you've got your capo on the 5th fret. You retune so your top string isn't an E, it's now a D, and your second string is a G. Is it called drop D tuning or DG tune? I don't know. Anyway, it's D, G, D, G. So the only two that you change are the top two. It's you know, a finger picking song as opposed to a strumming song. And he changes it up here and there, you know, which notes, which strings he plucks or whatever, but you know, you'll work it out, I think, pretty easily. So when the first note is an open chord. Whichever ones you play, it's kind of up to you. I tend to play as my notes, but I was 18 years old. So I was 18 years old. So instead of using the second string as your bass note when you play this sort of A minor 7th shape, you need to use the 4th string, the traditional D string. So you go from I was 18 years old, and then when you play the next shape, which is this strange chord here, you now use whatever your finger's on as your bass note. Top, and then with the open chord you play the top string is your bass note, and then the 3 fingers. You can leave the G out if you want, you just play those, but I find it easier not to retrain my fingers too much because I get confused. So it finishes with a fistful of money and a car, with a fistful of money and a carload of dreams. So you're playing those 4, and then you go back. Take your time, said my father, stop rushing like hell, and remember all's not what it seems to be. So at the end of that first sort of section, you go from this shape to playing an open an open chord, and then dropping the A minor 7th shape in, giving it that kind of harmonic sound. So from that, before you play fellas who'd cut you for the coat on your back, so before you go into the D, you played that, and then you lead into the D by going. So you play the open, you play the A minor 7, and then you take your fingers off, and then you play that shape, the first finger on the second string on the 1st fret, the middle finger on the 5th string. And then you just move it up 2 frets. There's fellas who'd cut you for the coat on your back, or the watch that you got from your mother. So that bit you go, so you got your coat on your back, then you play an open, and then instead of going into the D, you go into that shape. Watch that you got from your mother. So it's a sort of linking bit, isn't it? So you either go or. It's a little tricky. Those of you who are better guitarists than me will do it quite quickly, I should think. I'm just going to play a couple of sections because there's absolutely no way I'm going to remember the whole song, even with the words there. Because yeah, I'm just not that. I'm not that good a singer, or I'm not any kind of singer. But I'll mess it up, and I'll have to do millions of retakes. So let me just do this bit. I was 18 years old when I went down to Dublin with a fistful of money and a carload of dreams. Take your time, said my father, start rushing like hell, and remember all's not what it seems to be. For there's fellas who'd cut you for the coat on your back, or the watch that you got from your mother. So take time, my young bucko, and mind yourself well, and would you give this wee note to my brother? The time Uncle Benji was a policeman in Brooklyn. Ha! Brooklyn. At the time Uncle Benji was a policeman in Brooklyn, father the youngest looked after the farm. When a phone call from America said send a lad over, and my old fella said sure it wouldn't do any harm. I was flying my way to New York, poor old Benji was lying in a coal city morgue. It goes on. I'll just skip to the... It's been 22 years since I set foot in Dublin. My kids know to use the correct knife and fork, but I'll never forget the green grass and the rivers as I keep law and order on the streets of New York. Yeah, so there you go. I played bits of it here and there. Oh, one of these days I'll play it all the way through. Let's try again. I was 18 years old